Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So today our group 1, will be presenting about ethics and human resource management. So before we begin, let me introduce to you our team member, which are me myself, Nur Shaza Muhammad Shubri, Tang Chow, Isya Yugus and Kum Yulok. So before anything else, we must know what is ethics. So, ethics is generally doing the right thing, even when it may not be the easiest or most profitable choice. Ethics is such an important thing we need to uphold within ourselves to make sure that we are aligned with the law and the cause of nature. As we are all learned in the last class, in our previous class, ethics is affected by many factors such as our upbringing, our work experience, our life experience, and many more. As you can see in the slide itself, Colin said that ethics help them to differentiate between right and wrong and to act accordingly. But how does ethics related with human resource management? Because these two are very two different things. So let me tell you. So it is because human resource is the key in developing ethical policies and promoting them throughout the organization. These ethical policies are included in the value chain from the recruitment process to the termination process, which will eventually establish a foundation of trust and intensity within organization and fostering a sense of belonging and commitment among employees. By having an ethical policies in human resource management will for sure giving trust within employees that this company are in a good condition. So, how does human resource professional need to prepare or develop these ethical policies? They have to comply with these 5 ethics in human resource management, which are transparency, confidentiality, fairness and justice, respect for individuals, compliance with laws and regulation. By following these ethics, code of ethics in human resource management, in preparing and structuring their ethical policies will for sure help them to build a base in their standard operating procedure in doing their uh, exercising their routine, their work in human resource management. If they didn't abide or comply with this code of ethics in human resources, will for sure affect the performance of the company, which will result in producing an ethical issues lah, such as discrimination, termination, unfair termination and layoff, unfair performance appraisal, which will give a big impact on the company's reputation as a whole. So, through this presentation, our team will be sharing to you some of example of case studies happening on international levels and on Malaysian levels. So, I'll pass to my next team member, Tang Chow and Kumulok, to explain to you what is happening if human resource management didn't follow the ethical policies on international levels. Thank you.
So hello everyone, hello doctor, my name is Tang Chao. My part is about the international case, the racial discrimination in Tesla. So firstly, let me introduce about the background. In 2023, CNBC previously reported Diaz testified in a San Francisco federal court that his colleagues at Tesla regularly used the racist emphasis to denigrate him and other black workers, made him feel physically unsafe at the factory, told him to go back to Africa, and left racist graffiti in restaurants. Diaz's Tesla colleagues also left a racist drawing in his workplace, he said. The drawing was a rudimentary reference to Ink the Caveman, a 1950 era cartoon whose main character is a black boy portrayed with large lips, wearing a loincloth, earrings, and a bone through his hair. So how does this happen? Let's discuss in the next slide. Ethical issues resist discrimination and Tesla's HRM. We can say this pig is the Tesla's HR management structure. It has 6 parts. In developing the cutting-edge products, Tesla must ensure that its corporate culture encourages employees to think outside the box. This cultural characteristic recognizes the importance of new ideas and solutions. The condition opens new opportunities for Tesla Inc. to strategically improve its business and performance. These cultural conditions also makes the company an influential entity in prompting radical ideas in the international automotive and energy solutions market. And in this structure, Tesla HR management focuses on developing a cultural innovation through the 5 key principles. Doing the possible, being consistently innovative, reasoning from the first principles, thinking like owners, and having everyone contribute as a part of team. I already circled in the picture we are all in. This culture aligns with Tesla's strategy intensive growth, but also puts pressure on employees to consistently innovative and may limit their responsiveness. So the key part we are all in means Tesla unifies employees into a team, the synergetic teamwork and the technological innovation, also the diversifying. But we know the fact is the HRM structure is the opposite to the fact, right? So the key ethical issues. Number one, the racial discrimination and equal treatment. The case revolves around the allegations of the radical discrimination in the workplace, which directly challenges the ethical principle of equal treatment for all employees, regardless of their race. HRM practices are ethically responsible for fostering an inclusive and non-discriminatory environment, ensuring that all employees are treated fairly and respectfully. The second one is workplace harassment. The workers' experience of the racial slurs and unfair treatment suggests a broader issue of workplace harassment. It is ethically problematic if an employer does not take immediate and effective action to address such harassment. HRM is tasked with preventing, identifying, and mitigating workplace harassment through proper policies, training, and procedures. The third point is the responsibility for addressing the compliance. So the case indicates a failure to address the employee complaints in timely and effective manner, right? An ethical HRM department should have procedures in place to handle the compliance of discrimination and harassment and ensure the employees feel safe and supported in reporting issues without fear of retaliation. And the last point is corporate accountability. The Tesla's initial response and the need of a settlement after the works trials bring attention to corporate accountability. Ethical HRM practice involves holding the organization accountable for its action and ensuring the policies are enforced, not only when the issues are highlighted publicly and legally, but also proactively within the company. So what is the relationship about the diversity or the discrimination with the HRM? Let's discuss in next page. We can say after this event, the many people they express themselves comments on the X or the Facebook. They are very aggressive comments, right? And the news, the horrific allegations of racism prompt the California lawsuit against Tesla. Also, the news about the Tesla to face nearly 6,000 black workers in factory racism lawsuit. It's a big trouble. So the relationship with HRM. The first point about the diversity and inclusion. The HRM is responsible for creating and maintaining a diverse and inclusive work environment. The ethical failure of allowing discrimination to persist reflects again a gap in the HRM efforts to promote the diversity, equity, and inclusion. HRM strategies should focus on the developing a culture of respect, providing anti-racism training, and implementing policies that discourage discriminatory behavior. And the second point is employee relations and trust. Effective HRM relies on maintaining strong, trusting relations between employees and the organization. The failure to address the radical discrimination harms trust in HRM and the company overall. HR professionals must ensure that transparent communication, handle compliance, and sensitively and uphold the rights of all employees. The last point is about the legal compliance and ethical standards. HRM must ensure the organization compliance with both legal requirements and higher ethical standards. Tesla's settlement may indicate a branch of ethical HRM practices, as it shows that the company failed to uphold its duty to prevent discrimination and respond to compliance effectively. HR should align company policies with both legal obligations and moral expectations. So, in conclusion, this case highlights the responsibility of HRM to prevent this discrimination, address the employee compliance fairly and promptly, and uphold an ethical organization culture that respects all employees' rights. It underscores the importance of HRM in promoting the ethical conduct and maintaining a safe and respectful and inclusive workplace. Thank you so much. Then I will pass to my teammate. Bye bye.
Hi everyone, my name is Kam Yulop. Thank you, Tang, for sharing the background and also the ethical issues arises in Tesla. So next, let me walk you through the recent update over the case. So last year, for this case, actually both Tesla and DS has already reached to an agreement and the case was already dismissed. However, the details of this agreement was not actually disclosed to the public. So tracing back to the history, the results of this case is actually coming from multiple trials that DS has to go through. At first, back in 2021, DS was actually awarded 137 million in his first trial. However, the judge has decided to reduce the verdict to 15 million, and DS has actually won in the appeal and awarded 3.2 million in 2023. In our opinion, we think that Tesla approach in resolving this case has only addressed the financial consequences through the legal settlements, but not really tracing back to the root causes. We think that actually in order to resolve this case, it has to take into account all the benefits of the stakeholders, including the government, shareholders, employees, customers, as well as the local communities. So putting ourselves in Tesla's shoes, we would like to propose a 4-step systematic action plan in order to resolve these HR ethical issues between the company and also the employee. So of course, the step one, most importantly, is to take immediate corrective action towards the case. First of all, it's very important to actually establish an independent investigation team and make sure that all this progress is publicly available. Once the results of the investigation is confirmed, the company should actually take disciplinary actions, for example, expel or even give penalty to the employees who are involved in the assault. And most importantly, the company should also focus on the individual to provide well-being support, for example, giving mental counseling and also compensation to the particular affected employee so that he will be able to return to the workforce. Of course, once the corrective action has been done, it is also very important to relook into the overall policy and making sure there is some sort of reform being taken. For example, the potential cause of this issue could be arise from unclear guidelines. So it is very important to actually include more specific guidelines in the current anti-discrimination policy. And besides that, we will think that it's also important to increase the channels for the employees to file their complaints, such as creating the hotline uh, making emails available and making sure that they can also file the complaint through mobile apps. And lastly, we would like to propose that under the policy reform, it is very essential to have an independent audit. For example, having a third party or a team that is not impacted by any decision makers, and ensure that all these complaint cases is handled with confidentiality and also no biasness. Once the two steps has been taken, it is also important to consider in the long run, for example, creating a culture of accountability. From a HR perspective, it is mandatory to ensure each employee actually receive the training on DEI regularly, and also making sure all of them pass the assessments. Besides that, managers and also the management level should incorporate the compliance of fairness and inclusion policy into the evaluation of the performance review. And step four, even though all these steps has been taken, the most important step is to make sure that there is, in the long run, there is constant monitoring over these steps. So, for example, HR can actually set up constant one-to-one meetings to allow all the employees to speak up. Besides that, feedback channels such as quarterly surveys should be sent to the employees to make sure that the company and the management always understand what the employees are thinking, and making sure that the satisfaction level is up to par. So by doing these four steps, it is actually taken into consideration the benefits of the stakeholders. From the shareholders' point of view, investors will be confident again with these policies established, and making sure that their benefits are taken care of. Besides that, for the employees, by having this action plan in place, their well-being will be taken care of, and they will be treated fairly and with inclusivity. Besides that, for customers, they will be confident again with the brand and continue to purchase the Tesla cars. And this action plan is also beneficial to the local community, because they will be given equal opportunities when it comes to finding jobs and during the recruitment process. Finally, from the perspective of the government, I would say that this action plan is also important, because it means that the company Tesla is compliant with the local law and regulations.
For Malaysia case, we have chose Colin Thor Mervyn versus Black and Decker Asia Pacific Malaysia Sdn Bhd. So, for your information, Black and Decker Asia Pacific Malaysia Sdn Bhd is actually a company who's doing the transaction of hardware tools such for home cleaning, outdoor living, home accessories, preparing of power tools, and many more. So, this case is actually happening on 2016, but Colin only filed to the complaint to the industrial code by 2019, by the late of 2019. So at first, it all started on March 2016, where Colin Thor was employed by Noel Rubbermaid, Sundram Berhad. But within the same years, Noel transferred part of its business to Black and Decker Asia Pacific, which resulted Colin have to work for their new company, which is Black and Decker Asia Pacific Sdn Bhd, which are on 2016. But after 2 years of employment, suddenly Black and Decker want to sack and terminate Colin from its position because they claimed it as redundant and would be terminated on 1st November 2019. For Colin, this is a very unfair situation because he already worked for 1 years with Newell Rubbermaid Sdn Bhd. How can you suddenly want to sack me, right? So so, from this, the ethical issues that you can see from this case is an unfair termination and layoff. Under this unfair termination and layoff, there is a term called retrenchment, which is a discharge of surplus labor or staff by the employer for any reasons whatever otherwise than as punishment inflicted by way of disciplinary action. But this retrenchment cannot be simply, a company cannot simply sack or terminate any employee without doing any initiative before that by For example, by taking any initiative loan from other company or merger of two businesses or any action to cater the situation. But Black and Decker, Asia Pacific Malaysia, used this reason to terminate Colin without any further action before to terminate him. So, how does redundancy can happen? So, redundancy this can happen is to when the company want to reduce the cost, the merger of two businesses where there is a decline in profit, recession of economy, and cessation or closure of business. The reason why Colin bring this case to industrial court because he felt that his retrenchment is not fair because he is the longest employee in the company since before they merged from Newell to the Black and Decker. But Black and Decker refused, and they said the reason this company do the retrenchment for Colin is because it is a part of a global restructuring and operational cost cutting effort, and this resulted which the restructuring focused in the sales department where two to three existing division merged into one, which resulted in the surplus of employee performing that function. And one of the employees that have to receive the burden of being sacked is Colin because Black and Decker use the principle of last in, first out to select for retrenchment as the commencement employment for Colin started in March 2017. That is what the Black and Decker claim. But for Colin, he claimed that he has been working employed by the March of 2016 since he is working with Noble Rubbermaid before it transferred its business to Black and Decker, which is why this is a very unethical policies happening in Black and Decker. And next, I'll pass to Isya to explain what is the court finding on this case matter and how is the possible solution that they can take to prevent these things from happening again. Thank you.
Thank you, Shaza. Hi everyone, I'm Asia and I will be presenting on the court's finding and also the possible solution for the Malaysian case. So now we understand that the claimant's retrenchment, he brought this case to the industrial court because he felt that he was unfairly terminated. And the court's finding is claimant's retrenchment was exercised in bad faith. The following are the findings by the court. The first one is wrong service period. The company claimed that Colin is the most junior in the company, in the department where his employment commenced in the March 2017. They disregarded the employment with the Newell before they merged together with the Black Decker where Colin was employed. The second one is incorrectly selected for the redundancy because the company used the last in first out principle and they referred to the wrong service period, and actually there was another two other employees that is more junior than the claimant. So this is what the court findings for this issue. The final findings by the court is there was no significant cost-cutting measures were taken to avoid the retrenchment. The company claimed that the retrenchment was part of the global restructuring and operational cost-cutting effort, where in Malaysia, the restructuring focused on the sales department where Colin is. But the court found that there were two divisions within the company, which is the first one, Global Shared Services Division, and also the Commercial Division, which covers the sales department. There was no evidence provided that any retrenchment was carried out in the Global Shared Services division. In fact, the company admitted that the Global Shared Services division was actually expanding. This has resulted the claimant with the award of 24 months of back wages and compensation in lieu of reinstatement of on month's wages per year of service. Now we go to the possible solution. Warren Buffett said that it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about we have to go through 7 steps of making decision process. The first one is to know the facts of the issue, which there is a surplus of employees in one division or one department. So we need to recognize the ethical decision in this case, which we can reduce the number of employees in that particular division. But before we make a decision, we still need to identify and consider all the affected parties or all the affected people in this issue, which the stakeholders includes all the owners, employees, and also the customer. So we can list down, after that we can list down all the available alternatives. In this case, we as the manager of the organization have listed down 2, which is the first one is still the retrenchment and the second one is the transfer between department. Before we make a decision, we need to compare and weigh all the alternatives available, because each of the decision may have consequences to the involved stakeholders. If we see from the owner's point of view, if we choose the retrenchment, the owners can reduce the cost of surplus workforce wages in the long run if they terminate an employee. But they will need to refer to the Code of Conduct for the Industrial Relation. What they can do here is we go to the Human Resource Department and ask for advice from the Human Resource Manager. And another alternative which I mentioned is transfer between department, or they can transfer him internally. From the owner's point of view, if they transfer the employee, they can save costs on the recruiting new employees part for the particular department. But before they transfer, they need to know the knowledge and the ability of the employees which they want to transfer to other department. And they still might need to spend more on training and upgrading skills of the selected employee later on. So we move to the employee's point of view. If they choose to do the retrenchment, they can still use the last in first out principle, which they can terminate the most junior employee, but we need to know all the facts correctly before we decide. But if we if we choose to terminate, there will be an additional workload on the other employees who will be staying in that particular department. But if we If we choose to transfer internally, the employment for that selected employee, he can continue his employment in the current company, and he also get to learn another skill in order for him to do the job task. From the customer's point of view, if they do the retrenchment, as for the position of Colin, which he is in the sales department, the current existing customers of his, they will lose their trusted point of contact and might find another product if they cannot get the product that they usually deal with Colin. So this will lead to loss of revenue. But if they transfer internally, the customer can remain contact with with Colin, and Colin can slowly pass this current customer to another representative to deal with, as they build trust with each other lah. Okay, that is on the comparing and weighing all the alternatives available, and now we can make a decision after considering all the alternatives. So in this case, Colin can actually be transferred between departments, maybe from the commercial division to global shared service division. This is because the company admitted that the global shared service division is actually expanding, meaning this department or division, they will need more employees or staff to do the job tasks given, because they are expanding. So after we decide to transfer the between the departments, we need to evaluate the implications of the decisions. There are many possible outcomes that can happen after the decision made by the manager of the organization. Firstly, the employee who has been selected might not agree to transfer even though the transfer is mandatory. If this case happen, the selected employee will need to go through his employment contract to see whether the transfer policy is included in his employment contract. Meaning in the employment contract, there will be one part where the transfer policy is mandatory. The second possible outcomes is that maybe the employee will agree to transfer to another department, but the new department might find it is difficult to train an employee who has zero knowledge of the job task given. So that is the possible solution and also the court findings for this Malaysian case. We can conclude that ethics actually plays an important role in human resource management. Human resource management have to work together with the other department to make an ethical decision, because any decision made by any managers will have impact on the overall performance of a company or a business. Okay, so that is all from our group. Thank you, and if you have any question, you can ask our group.